an edit is and can be. It's time now to look at the Xbox assessments.
Welcome to the F1 Esports Series Pro Exhibition.
Just to be fair though, Matt knows fully well, and it's good banter, it's fair banter, because he knows how good I am on the sim, which is rubbish. Nick, I want to talk about this guy, Gabriele Meneghetti's showing that consistently and through history, Xbox drivers don't do as well as those who are starting out on the PC or PS4, and he's changing that. He's, going against the grain with that, and that's good to see.
Yeah, it is, definitely. I mean, he's only a couple of seconds back from our pro benchmark guys, so clearly has the pace and the talent as well, and flying the flag for the Xbox guys who are not doing too bad at all.
Yeah, and another driver, João Pedro, third in this year's time trial, consistently one of the fastest drivers from Brazil. What I like about that, Naomi, it just shows how global this competition is. That's a brilliant thing to see, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I think that's one thing that's really important about esports is it takes away so many entry barriers, and that's why you've got so many competitors all over the world competing, which is so unique.
Kenan, a brilliant Finnish driver. Why are there so many good Finnish drivers? I'm putting you on the spot there, Nick. Olli Pakala, who performed a few years ago. You've got Joni Tormula. Is there something about being in Finland that makes you a good driver?
Well, they're very serious guys, aren't they? They're very serious. They're never happy with their performance. They always want more, and you can see that they're pretty perfectionists. They're perfectionists, aren't they? They don't just settle for second best all the time, you know?
Yeah, Kendon, winner of this year's Challenger on the Xbox, Pro Draft last year, didn't get selected. This gives him that sort of opportunity to go, hey, you didn't pick me last year, you made a mistake. That's a good element to this Pro exhibition, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure it is. It sort of gives them another opportunity to show their racecraft, to show their pace, generally how they are as competitors, gives them a second shot.
Yeah, and when we go to the head-to-head, which I really, really like as a sort of assessment level, it just really brings out the best of you. You only get one opportunity. It's the best of three, isn't it, Naomi?
Absolutely. I think it's the hardest possible challenge. I find qualifying type scenarios the most difficult because they are so precision and so conscious type driving, whereas racing is a lot more instinctive. There's literally no room for error here. Track limits, especially on esports, is something you don't want to, come in contact with. So yeah, big challenge.
Yeah. Now, I was sort of taking the mickey out of Matt Gallagher, but out of those assessments, if you were to do one right now, which one would you choose that you like and your least favourite out of those four?
I'd probably say I would go for the head-to-head. That looks like a lot of fun. I wouldn't really say there's anyone that I particularly don't like, but yeah, maybe the adaptability with the dry to wet.
Yeah,
that could be challenging.
I like that. Very competitive, Nick. Listen, Matt Gallagher, do you forgive me? You've got the leaderboards. Am I forgiven now?
Well, Tom, it's amazing what you'll say about me when I can't respond. So it's interesting whenever I go on the touchscreen, you're just having it at me. Anyway, let's have a look at the leaderboard, shall we? In-game event leaderboards. This is the Max Verstappen Austria single players, many times as you like, and it's Gabriele Meneghetti right at the top. The benchmark, remember, Danny Moreno, 172,388. So a little bit behind the PC guys, not as close as we saw to Kapua earlier on, but three of them hit my 170,000 or above benchmark. All the rest of them need to improve. But no, that's fine. As long as you're kind of there or thereabouts and you prove yourself in the other multiplayer events, then it's okay. Let's move to one of the multiplayer events, which is Bahrain. And would you expect Meneghetti at the top? Yes, you would. And there he is. So he is 20 minutes 55, which is 2 seconds or so behind Moreno, which is very much F1 esports standard. Down the bottom, Dizalewski is going to be really disappointed with that. 22 seconds back, so clearly a mistake because no contact, it's a ghost race. Looking at Rutten, good performances, kind of all the way down to sort of 5th, 6th place. 5 seconds off, not too bad. Let's move to China. Wet, much more challenging, and it's Meneghetti once again at the top of the leaderboard by 6 seconds, and only 4 seconds behind Rasmussen again. That Freddie Rasmussen time is something else. But Meneghetti definitely getting himself on the radar of some of the F1 esports teams. Oates as well, not a bad result in P2. But yeah, you can see some of the drivers down the bottom really did struggle in the wet conditions, which will affect their adaptability score especially. Let's move to the bracket now, the final one. That's the one-lap knockout, and it's Dizalewski who had a really difficult multiplayer races, winning the 1v1s, and in fact, we have Meneghetti out in the first round to Dizalewski. So lots of crazy stuff going on. I thought it was going to be a Meneghetti clean sweep. It wasn't, Tom.
Clean sweep for Meneghetti. I think I pronounced that right. Here's the thing. I want to look at the player cards now and see that rating, because Meneghetti has got the highest overall rating that we've given for a driver, 88.5. And then a player there, a driver, Antoine de Zaluski, a French driver. I'm going to throw it out there, Alpine. Could sign for Alpine. Is that too predictable there, Nick?
Not necessarily. I mean, you could be. Let's see how close you are, Tom, with that.
Okay, well, we can only find out in the pro draft. Naomi, in terms of those score, I mean, there's not much in it, not as high as Alessio Di Capua with 93, so a little bit off from the PC, but flying that flag for the guys.
Absolutely, but as you can see, what we mentioned before, there's some people here with a little less experience with higher points, so it's really a balance of all the points, and you can tell that the drivers are already well balanced.
Yeah. Now, these 4 assessments, we assume some drivers would do better than others because of what they're doing in leagues, and we've seen them race in qualifying. A guy that stands out, and I want to see his card actually in the player ratings, Jed, flying the flag for Great Britain, Norgrove, didn't do as well as we thought he would do, and that's hence why a lower score there. He was the winner of this year's time trial on Xbox. Red Bull, AlphaTauri interested in him, but something like that, do you think that could deter a team from picking it up? And I'm not trying to pick on Jed in any way, I want to make that very clear. It's just he didn't perform as well as we expected, but maybe teams are going to ignore that to a certain extent.
Yeah, I mean, you're still looking for a driver that's got the full package, and he might have made a mistake and not be fully there and in the mix at the moment, but it doesn't mean that he might not, get stronger and stronger as the year goes on, as he gets more opportunities. Clearly, actually not far away in terms of qualifying pace, which is great. I think it's just maybe just racing, consistency and experience that needs a bit more help with.
Yeah, I love those player cards. That if you've got a high score, you'd be like, yeah, deserve it. And if you've got a low one, you're like, nah, this is rubbish.